Look, the list had Rurik Thar in it. What else do you want me to say? I had to play it. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and Andrew gave me a dealer's choice donation deck list that I'm going to use to play a Elves list I found from a small event. And this intrigued me because there was an elf that I had never seen before in it, one of the ones with Squad. So as an additional cost to cast this spell, you can pay 1 and a green any number of times, and when it enters, create that many tokens that are copies of it. And this is an Elf Lord. And this card doesn't look good to me, but Gaia's Cradle is a very, very silly Magic the Gathering card. And it may just be that in evaluating this, I am undervaluing just how strong Gaia's Cradle can be. It is relatively common, I would say, that you can tap a Gaia's Cradle for 5 mana. When you do that, you can give all of your elves +2/+2, and each one of these would then be 3/3s, as they would see the ability from the other one, but not their ability from themselves. And it may just be that if you do this for 5 mana and you turn all the elves that are in play sideways, people just die. And defensively speaking, playing a Lord in elves in a world where Orcish Bowmasters is one of the most played creatures in the format is not a totally crazy thing. Glimpse of Nature Elves is a deck that largely has died because of Orcish Bowmasters, but I think is very, very fun to play. So occasionally, sometimes we just need to play something fun to scratch that itch, even if it is something that isn't particularly well positioned within the metagame. And the last time I went into a video saying, like, this deck is very, very bad, we shouldn't be playing this, we're going to do it for fun, I 5-0'd with that deck. So, things happen. There was also some spice in the sideboard, another card that I had never seen before, Driven Despair. So this is a card with Aftermath, so we can cast the green side from our hand and the black side from our graveyard. So Driven, until end of turn, creatures you control gain Trample, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. And then the Aftermath is your creatures gain Menace, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card. So versus a combo deck, you could cast Driven, draw 3 cards, cast Despair the following turn, make your opponent discard 3 or 4 cards, and that's rather interesting. It also brings back a card that is very near and dear to my heart, Rurik Thar the Unbowed, which deals a whopping 6 damage to a player when they cast a non-creature spell. Note that one is symmetrical, so that one will hurt you as well. And this was a bit of an interesting and spicy list, so I wanted to play it this afternoon, and we'll see how it is. Folks, if you need any cards for your elf deck or anything else, we've got Strixhaven spoilers. I think mostly the entire set is spoiled by now, or rather fully revealed properly by now. Please consider getting them from my sponsor, TOAMagic.com, and when you do, use my promo code ThrabenU to save yourself a little bit on your order. I'm going to be visiting these folks in person in Vegas and selling them some cards, as I pretty much always do at Magic Cons. With that being said, let's battle. Hello, Phil from the future here. My opponent had something happen and does not start playing Magic for about 10 minutes, meaning that they are woefully behind on clock and end up playing extremely quickly. As such, my opponent makes a lot of misplays and mistakes as they are trying to play a game of Magic in a very, very short time window. So I just want you to have that disclaimer ahead of time. If you want to skip this round, feel free. So I really wish I had an untapped land here. I think this is fine. There is some question of whether or not I just play Underground Mortuary on 1 and get that out of the way, or whether I play an elf on 1 and then sometimes try to do a Glimpse of Nature thing on 2 if I hit my land drop naturally. Because Birchlore Rangers can do some nutty things. So we can do something like Yavimaya Quirion, if we hit the land, we can go Glimpse, Birchlore Rangers, tap 2, draw a card, immediately play another one. It's probably better to wait a turn and have a little bit more of an impact than that. But I suspect this is Disgusting Things turn 3. Well, apparently they don't kick people out of games on Magic Online anymore for inactivity. Cradle is awesome. Cradle is one of the things that would have paid me off for playing out a creature early. Undercity Sewers. Sure. So let's just get Elvish Visionary out of our hand and then try to go crazy next turn and hope our opponent doesn't have Orcish Bowmasters in particular. Tundra. So this is just, does my opponent have Orcish Bowmasters? And I'm ruined if they do. Here we go. Force of Will pitching to Fairy instead. Now we just have to hope to draw something reasonable off the top. I don't know that I attack into Felia here. Here's a Quirion Ranger. Cradle for some mana. Quirion Ranger. Birchlore. I'll just pass. Alright, there's the Felia that I played around. I got shit over here. I got nothing. And the opponent is now brainstorming with the information that I have nothing. Delta will clear that. There is a Tamiyo, which is incredibly good versus my current board. Sure, I'm gonna keep my elves. You may hit me for 2. Tamiyo comes back. Absolute punish for playing out my creatures. Such is life. I can get a couple points of damage in here. And love tap my opponent for 3. Their life total is low. Tamiyo investigates. Opponent can then blink out the Tamiyo. Drawing a card. 15. And ponder. They could have a flip Tamiyo right now, which seems devastatingly good against what I've got going on. That does not seem like my best creature. This one is very easily my best creature. I think my opponent is playing a little fast and loose to catch up on clock. I will send in for a little bit of damage and then potentially get a Dryad Arbor that I can do some cool things with. If I bottom out and just never see a payoff card, that is what it is. Delta. Rough. If we top deck the Elf Lord thing right now, it's actually totally solid. Same thing, opponent investigates. Cracking a clue. They are just leaving me with Birchlore. Admittedly a little worse right now exactly after removing a few bodies, but it is the thing that goes the nuttiest if I start comboing. There is a Dryad Arbor. I will hold this in case I get Glimpse. Send in. Opponent takes 2 more down to 6. It really doesn't take much here for the kill. Opponent does not attack with Felia. Cracks. Bounces Tamiyo. Replays Tamiyo. Okay. That is what it is. There is a Quantum Riddler, which my opponent will blink out. I'll take the hit here. Opponent redraws. This flips Tamiyo. Tamiyo pluses. Riddler's going to end up coming back. Pick up Dryad Arbor. Opponent gets their redraw. My offense is fully stopped. Okay, there's a payoff card. Without doing math, I imagine that pumping 9 mana into this for Hoof is lethal. Heritage Druid will be free for Gaia's Cradle purposes. There's 5, 6, 7, and 8. And we see if there is a Force of Will effect. If no, I have 4 different attackers. There is a Force of Will effect. My opponent should very, very easily win from here. Riddler in the air is lethal over 2 attack steps no matter what. I have to chump block a Felia here. Do I have Wirewood? I do have Wirewood as a redraw, so I potentially want to chump with Heritage Druid. It could be Dryad Arbor as the chumper, since Dryad Arbor is not an elf, though. Alright, opponent is choosing not to attack, which is a decision. Hold? Probably hold. I just need Glimpse to be live. The thing is, because they have an active Tamiyo, I don't know that it matters if they make tactical errors, because this just ultimates in another turn. and forgives everything. Yep, so that's Tameo to 8. Opponent blinks their Riddler. I am going to do the non-elf here. All right. Opponent at 3, but the plus here is very, very strong. I mean, let's see what you have. Uncounterable. Activate the ability. Spot removal spell will save my opponent here. They don't have it. There's a lot of different ways my opponent can thread this game. And again, I think they are playing fast because they, wasted 7 minutes of clock or whatever before they took any game actions. So I think they had a lot of space to tighten up. So they could put more pressure by attacking with more creatures. They could do some Tameo minus stuff and take my elves off the board, so this sort of thing can't happen. They can choose not to cast some Thought Seizes, hoping to brainstorm them back to keep a couple of life points. There's a lot of points where play can be changed there. So what do I want to do in terms of boarding? I probably don't need Reclamation Sage here. That can probably just go. I will probably play a couple copies of Abrupt Decay as an uncounterable thing that just messes with Tameo. And I do have a few things that can muck with my opponent's counter spells. How do I feel about Scooz? Scooz is a little slow here. Like, it can technically eat things in the graveyard. I don't know how excited I am about that. And we are a 61 card deck. Good. Like, there's definitely other things I can play. I don't know that I need to. We didn't see Orcish Bowmasters in Game 1 scenarios. That doesn't mean it's not there. Opponent does have access to black. I am willing to keep this one. There is a lot to like here. I would really like another land, but this is not terrible. Ooh. So I think this just finds me a Dryad Arbor immediately. And then I will pass the turn here. Opponent fetches. By losing Dryad Arbor, I am losing Dryad Arbor. That is what it is. We're going to hope to draw another land. Did not. Let's just do the uncounterable one and pass. And the next turn I can play Birchlore and try to get some other stuff in play. That's rough. Multiple swords is exactly where my opponent wants to be. The scariest thing that they probably can have is Wrath of the Skies. If my opponent has that to clear out a bunch of my elves at the same time, oof deck, I'm going to be in trouble. I think I want to play an elf here so that I can play Birchlore next turn and get an extra mana out of my board in a pinch. Third swords? Well, shit. All right. So there's the black mana. Good way to beat elves. Have 3 copies of swords in opening hand. That is absolutely awesome. And now we're hoping for no way to cheat the warp. Okay, at least that happened. So same thing, I will play an elf so that Birchlore Rangers can potentially be live. 4th swords, you can't make this up. You can't make this up. This right here, this is great TV. That does mean that my opponent has very, very little spot removal remaining in their entire deck. So that's the good news. All right, cool. So here is a Quirion Ranger. I will untap this, returning a forest to my hand. That allows me to play another thing here. Birchlore into Wirewood? Just Wirewood? Maybe just Wirewood. Bowmasters, it is here. So the glimpse is now notably worse. The Wirewood timing doesn't quite work out for us. Barrowgoyf as well. Thanks, I hate it. I will take 1. 23. Heritage Druid, Birchlore. So we're just going to work towards natural order at this point. Yeah. Last turn. We might be on block bounce Barrowgoyf duty for a little while. All right. That is not the cost of Tameo. My opponent has played a Tameo for X equals 1 and is going to destroy their Tameo. I will bounce Heritage Druid to my hand. My opponent uses their Wrath of the Skies to destroy their Tameo and Orc token. I will take 5. Barrowgoyf does Barrowgoyf things. My opponent gets another Orcish Bowmasters. All right. Here is Quarian Ranger. I will bounce a land to my hand. Here is Yavimaya. I think I just need to get stuff into play. I could cast this as a morph later, but I think it is just more important to vomit some things onto the board. Let's go 2 elves for green for Heritage Druid. And I know I will end up losing one of these to Bowmaster Ping on my opponent's turn, but that's fine. I'm just trying to set myself up so that I can potentially draw Gaia's Cradle and play Natural Order to finish this game off. Quarian Ranger is easily my best creature here. It lets me rebuy my 1 land that, like, my opponent very clearly knows that I have. I will eat some damage here. Opponent now will get a Tamiyo. Play a Tamiyo. And then Brainstorm to flip said Tamiyo. Tamiyo goes to 4. 1 mana, 2 mana, 3 mana, or alternatively 3 mana. I'm getting there. We will just do this once. And I'm putting an extra body in play. These will be protected from Bowmaster Pings. Force of Will blue card. Absolutely. Tamiyo is going to get back Wrath of the Skies. My opponent has figured out this time that they can attack with their Orc Army token. I will take a bunch of damage. Barrogoyf mills. Barrogoyf does not mill. Opponent can Wrath of the Skies and take out my stuff. They lose Orc Army token. They get to keep Tamiyo, though. That's the part that matters. I suspect that there is realistically no way out of this game for me. Let's give it the old college try. Alright, that doesn't do anything. I will get pinged. Opponent looks like they're gonna... No, not surveil. And then this combat step will kill me. I'm not usually one to complain about luck, but 4 swords to plowshares that quickly in a game is rough. I could go down on Glimpse, like I could completely take that out of my deck and play like Endurance, Scoos, Trophy, or something like that, and that wouldn't be crazy. I could do that and just kind of be unhappy about it. Hedge versus Bowmasters now that I have confirmed that my opponent has it. Also makes me kind of better versus Wrath of the Skies. Sure. Not ideal, given the amount of removal spells that my opponent's deck has. But I think it's fine. I'm going to make them waste a removal spell on, air quotes, a bad creature. Alright. Negative. So, do I want to just play Frenzied Baloth here? I think I will do both. So yeah, Cradle, 2 mana, uncounterable Frenzied Baloth, which does have haste, and we are in for 5 damage. We are not. We are. Okay, sure. Riddler to the bin. Opponent to 14. I have the ability to bounce Nettle Sentinel if at some point my opponent has a board wipe. This can kill Wirewood Symbiote. Yeah. Multiple of these. Neat. So yeah. Fiend Artisan is fine. I will keep that on top. I have 3 mana as of right now. And this is going to be uncounterable. Will let me untap this creature. Absolutely sending in with this one. The uncounterable with like Fiend Artisan and another elf coming is a little trickier. I think I send. I think I'm just leaning into my beatdown role here and trying to reduce my opponent's life total to 0 before they can start playing very, very scary cards. Turns on Force of Will, which I don't love, but not letting my opponent accumulate a board presence is also something when I just am going to have as much pressure as I do. Opponent to 9, and a Ponder. Sure, sure. And a Shuffle. That felt like a very fast shuffle. That was a very fast shuffle. So I don't have 4 mana, right? 1, 2, 3, or rather, I don't have 5 mana. I'm just going to do this once. So we will just do this to untap Nettle Sentinel. All right. No counter spell. Means that I am probably hitting my opponent for 7. They are at 2. I have 3 bodies on board. Wrath of the Skies does not answer these. Swords 1. Oculus. Sure. That's real good. So they get to manifest Dread. I get Allosaurus Shepherd uncounterably. And I think I am committing more to the board here. and calling it a turn. Disastrous if my opponent has a Wrath of the Skies. This was one of the few things that saved them there. They needed multiple bodies, and that provided them. Rakos. The Wrath of the Skies. The Wrath of the Skies. All right. And my opponent just gets out of their situation by making an extra thing every turn. All right, that's something. It's castable. We'll see if my opponent gives me a situation where I can make this good. Yep. Land drop. No attack. End of turn, I am just going to go ahead and cast this. It will increase the amount of mana that I have. I will clear out your graveyard. Oculus does its thing. All right. Ready for one of the last cards to be Orcish Bowmasters? All right, it is not. All right, very nice. There is Visionary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're real close to just hoofing here. I will pass the turn. Opponent fetches to 1. The Barrogoyf life gain is very, very good here, though. I will let that connect. I just need the mana here. My opponent is now up to 4. They have found both Bowmasters and Oculus. Probably just take... Well, I guess it depends on what is the rest of the hand. You need 6 cards in graveyard. Bowmasters represented 2 blockers there, though. Another Wrath of the Skies? No, okay. Quantum Riddler. Seems good. Manifest Dread. Land, I think, does it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Without mathing it, this seems lethal. Show me Force of Will blue card. All right. We won. At great mental anguish to myself as I went mad as my opponent had so many copies of Swords to Plowshares and Wrath of the Skies. But we did limp over the finish line. Ugh. GG. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you're looking to store your decks online, you're not going to find a better website. It's super organized and easy to use, and I sort everything that I do into a ton of format-specific folders, and you can customize the way that you use Moxfield to your liking. Whether you like text views or visual views of multiple different natures, Moxfield has it all. And it's so easy to use, you might even say that it's a snap. Gaia's Cradle. Incredibly powerful Magic the Gathering card that does not make mana until you have creatures. Auto mulligan here. No mana producing lands. ×2. Okay. This is a keep. Ooze is going back. And I think we're keeping these 4 and hoping to make something work of it there. Can play Quirion Ranger on 1 and attempt to rebuy the forest. Once upon a time for basic island. We are wilding. All right. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card and put it into your hand. Bloodbraid Marauder. That makes sense. So because this is one of these split cards, this is something that Bloodbraid Marauder doesn't see for its cascade purposes. So that is kind of the thing that incubation would indicate, is that you are trying to do something unfair. All right, I now need to do a little math. Turn 1, Nettle Sentinel. Turn 2, Glimpse off this land. 1 mana Heritage Druid. 1 mana Quirion Ranger. I'm going to play a creature this turn for the purposes of Gaia's Cradle. But I don't think I get to do anything innately busted with it unless I draw something like Birchlore Rangers, which would be pretty hot. Is this one a sorcery? Yes. So my opponent has instant and sorcery available to them. Now they're going to have artifact available to them once they can cycle. Wirewood. What if I do Heritage Druid first? Heritage Druid, 2 mana, Glimpse, Quirion Ranger. Seems reasonable. Yeah. Quirion Ranger. Untap. 2 mana. Yeah. Glimpse. Heritage Druid. While I control 3 elves. So 1, 2, 3. Wirewood Symbiote. untap this, draw a card. Elvish Visionary is nice. Let's untap target creature, bouncing a forest. Let's Elvish Visionary, draw a card off of this. Then 1, 2, 3. Wirewood Symbiote. We are gaming. Ooh. So I can return an elf twice to untap a creature. Let's untap you, return a creature, then play Quirion Ranger out again. There's a Rex Sage. Now, Heritage Druid, 1, 2, 3. Let's untap a creature, return Elvish Visionary, 2 mana, take my redraw, Frenzied Baloth at this point. Ooh, natural order. My attack for 2 is so costly here. What's my target's Hoof Atraxa? Got it. I will Hoof next turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Squad! Squad! So this is going to be 2 more bodies, humorously. Which means 1, 2, 3 is on the table. And this is good enough for my opponent, now that I have double Nettle Sentinel and Glimpse. This is a slightly time-consuming chain, but, very, very powerful here. And my opponent is, potentially doing Living End things here. Like, that is what they could be cascading into. That's kind of my thoughts with Architects of Will, rather than this being a Rhinos in a Can deck, cascading footfalls, crashing footfalls. So if my opponent is doing Living End nonsense, I would like to kill them quickly. I don't know that I need Rex Sage here. Ooze is fine. I'm interested in Endurance. I will think about Rurik Thar. I don't know how much this stuff matters. I think I'm okay with Thoughtseize, treating my opponent as if they are a combo deck. I might not Rurik Thar purely for space purposes. Maybe I can get away without the Baloth. That gets me 2 Endurances, and then I would need to cut 2 cards for Thoughtseize. Maybe get rid of the slower Fiend Artisan and trim 1 drop of some kind. I could also potentially get rid of one of these and keep all of the 1-drops to make the Glimpse lines stronger. Oop. Weird looking hand. I have enough different powerful things here that I probably just keep this and assume that it goes somewhere just off. Fuck. Anyway, the remainder of that sentence was going to be just off of the back of Natural Order into Craterhoof. Such is life, baby. This is good enough to get a response. Might just be a Surveil land. Negative. Street Wraith. Once upon a time. Do I get my happy tree friend? Architects of Will. Dryad Arbor. So we have land, artifact, creature, instant in there already. So Bloodbraid Marauder does get to do its thing. Alright, here we go. Oh, it is Crashing Footfalls. I'm wrong. One has Bowmaster. Alright. Good to know. Are we glimpsing with just Wirewood? I think I am willing to glimpse, and I treat that as the Force of Will bait to resolve Natural Order for Atraxa. Oh shit, it just worked. Fully was not expecting that. Thoughtseize. What a punish for not playing this land first, but if I draw Cradle, like, this is very nice. Alright. Play this. I'm just gonna idiot check myself. I'm very sure that I have 2 Dryad Arbors, but yeah, Dryad Arbor. Alright, so next turn I have 4 mana for Natural Order. As long as we don't draw Atraxa. Things are pretty good. Yep, I can't bounce my creatures. So this is actually very convenient for me. Never mind. I was about to say I was left with 4 mana for Natural Order. Now I have to top deck a untapped land, which I did not. Dead. Block 3, take 4, 8, 9, 10. That is inconvenient. We were so very close there. All right, so we now know that it is Crashing Footfalls. It is not Living End, despite saying Architect of Will. That means these endurances are a lot less necessary. Frenzied Baloth can maybe come back as an anti-counterspell card. Ooze becomes less cool. Fiend Artisan becomes a little better. Abrupt Decay is not crazy. Neither is Veil of Summer. This is for Bowmaster. This is for Force of Will and Force of Negation. Thoughtseize does something similar. Thoughtseize costs me points of life that might be precious. Do a Veil, and I'll do an Abrupt Decay. Knowing that my opponent has Bowmasters, is this better? I might not need Grist here. I guess it's a green sunnable answer to Bowmaster. I could also board out of Glimpse, but Glimpse is fast. I want fast here, especially since I don't have the final natural order. Sure. I think I'm going to play Nettle Sentinel on one. And sometimes I do Birchlore Crimes on turn 2. I could fetch a land, play Glimpse, play Birchlore, redraw with Wirewood immediately. All right, there is Incubation again, or Bowmaster. All right, well, ineffective Glimpse of Nature it is. I go ahead and attack for 2 here. Yeah, here is Glimpse to untap my creature. Daze. All right, fetch. Gonna buy you. Birchlore? How much for trying to optimize my mana? Which one's Risefall? Return target creature from a graveyard and target creature on the battlefield to their owner's hands, or reveal 2 cards at random, discard each non-land card. Okay, got it. All right, yeah. So the plan was Birchlore, Allosaurus, Shepherd, and then Wirewood Symbiote, and just like vomit my entire hand into play. Okay, got it. Punished for choosing Bayou there. Punchies for 2. I'll do Allosaurus Shepherd and Dryad Arbor. And this just might be sad beats the game. My opponent is already at 12 and has some cards like Force of Will and whatnot in their deck. Sure. There is a Glimpse. I'm not quite poised to use. In we go for 3. Opponent to 9. Wirewood untaps Nettle Sentinel. Very strange game. Opponent's got Volk now. Cycles and Architects of Will. Passes. Battle. In we go. It's been a minute. Is it all green spells? Green spells you control can't be countered. It is. I will just use this to get my second Dryad Arbor. And pass. The opponent could go land drop Rhinos. And they do not. That was a very fascinating game. Oh, what a mess of a hand. Yeah, I get why they revealed that one. So they had the Volcanic Island, but then Wasteland as their other lands, meaning Snuff Out was dead. Allosaurus Shepherd shut off 3 other cards in hand. That's very unfortunate for them. That is legitimately unlucky on their end. So no black mana for Bowmasters or Snuff Out, their 2 removal spells. And once they remove Allosaurus Shepherd, these other cards become live. So we got a little lucky there. Although I guess our opponent did choose Volk, right? Are they supposed to choose Volk blind because their deck is built around Bloodbraid Marauder? Or, like, I don't know what the order of drawing these things was. There might have been a critical decision on turn 1 that was, like, not apparent until the end of the game. Magic is awesome. GG. So my opponent hit me up with a oh my in chat as they played against another member of my podcast last round. So they are just getting, put through the ringer this league. We'll see how they fare versus elves. Energy? Energy or Storm? Usually I think Energy, but Plateau has been doing some wildin' recently. There's Beseech. Don't do it. Don't kill me on turn 1. I have so many elves to play. Burning Wish immediately. Getting Echo, and then they can use LED afterwards. So this is going to be fully random, but they're going to go into this essentially second turn here with some floating mana. Ooh, my hand got way worse, I think. So, Am I dead? Also, how much interaction do I have for this deck? Not the most. Not the most. But this kind of slaps here. I've killed many a Storm player with a Rurikthar. Oh, the gamble discards the LED, shutting down the remainder of their turn. That sounds great, but my hand is questionable. I think I put the most broken card into play now. And I just hope. So maybe I can rip an untapped land and go Shepherd, Sentinel, Brigade in one turn, setting up for natural order the following turn. Looks like my opponent can just beseech now, though, which is happening. This is Song of Creation. So we are now in non-deterministic line territory, where all of my opponent's artifact mana is going to transform into 2 more cards, which will usually give my opponent something that they can play. So I probably die either this turn or next turn. Let's see. Dark Ritual. We are now to the point where the Storm Count is lethal. I'm going to switch into Spark Notes modes where I will give you relevant cards as they appear, rather than, yeah, you know what? You got it. Didn't even need to go into Spark Notes. GG. So, you're in here. You're in here. Surgicals and Endurances are both sketch. I'm probably going to play them because they can mess up Gaia's Will lines. I'm not overly excited about them. How do we feel about Despair? Let's run some numbers here. Atraxa becomes Rurikthar. I probably don't need you. Rex Sage is very, very slow at what it does, despite being an out to Song of Creation. Like, this is something that realistically I expect to pay 4 mana for off of a Green Sun. Oh, wow, I don't have Collector Oof? Wild, I don't have Collector Oof. Huh. Alright. Ooze better than Endurance? I don't know that it is. So if I play Thoughtseizes and these cards, I still would need some cuts from here. Probably the Squad or Elvish Visionary. Visionary is slow in a combo matchup. So if I want to try these out, I'm a 61 card deck, that would just work. Alright. I don't feel good about this matchup. Not having the oof is a big deal. That doesn't look good. We're not relying on this card for wins, and I don't have anything to glimpse. This is a 6, so the Rurikthar can go back into deck. Reluctant keep. And I'm gonna dump Heritage Druid into play immediately in case we get wheeled with Echo of Eons. I top deck a Thoughtseize. I also can't cast it since we have Basic Forest. Mox Opal. LED. Metalcraft is now live. That's a Boomerang Basics under there. So, there's no priority pass here where Endurance works, unfortunately. Okay. I have a Thoughtseize if I get to my turn, which I can play with Birchlore Rangers. Opponent is still going, which is a bad sign for me. I don't have Endurance in this second hand. If my opponent is not going off, I will just probably lose Thoughtseize to Thoughtseize. No, I have lost Hoof. Alright. Or was that just a, it doesn't matter, you are already dead? Beseech is lethal. Nope, just had the Tendrils. We got absolutely wrecked. This is not a matchup that I feel good about. GG's. Alright, we are probably playing against Storm again, in which case I am already dead. I don't think my hand is fantastic. Second hand is not great either. Crater Hoof glued to my hand. This goes and does sad things. I think I'm going to hope that my deck draws okay and gets out of this and keep here rather than try to go any further. Underground Sea, yeah. You know, this league was doing numbers. We were doing great until we got paired into Storm 2 rounds in a row. I thought this was, oh shit, can you go now? Okay, no. I was gonna say, damn, that is strong, if yes. I will buy you and play the one that attacks for the largest number. This is Beseech with 3 mana in play already, though. So, yeah. Alright, we will F6, and I will enjoy this matcha drink that my girlfriend just got me. Wow, Bryant fucking kills me on turn 2. Yeah. This is weird. There's mango foam on top of this. I don't know how I feel about that. But according to her, I am an influencer. So I deserve the influencer drink. Storm count of 6 now, with the next Beseech the Mirror. Lotus Petal. Oh, I missed a guy as well in there. That just snapped off very quickly. So this is Storm count of 8. We're going to see Dark Ritual and Chrome Mox to build the storm count to lethal. And I will certainly perish. There's the last Beseech the Mirror. And the Lethal Tendrils. GG. So, obviously don't feel great about this. So we have kind of the sad graveyard hate, the very, very strange discard to do, no collector oof. Very sad about no collector oof. So that swap, I think I decided on you out, you out, you out, you out. I think I ended up with Visionaries. I think I ended up with some pile of this stuff out, or this stuff. This is 59. I would need to keep 2 of the cards that are here. Veil is medium. Ooze is mid. Decay, also kind of questionable. One of these? This for just raw haste damage off a Green Sun? Bryant says, my heart dropped for a second when you played Bayou. I should have silenced in the upkeep, idiot. You got away with it. I would like to play first. Oh, no. No, no. Okay. This is a turn 2 glimpse hand that probably doesn't kill on turn 2. So I go Allosaurus Shepherd on 1. Could then play Wirewood on 2. Have 2 mana, glimpse, 1 left over. I don't know if this is better than just Thought Seizing. But maybe trying to mulligan towards a 2 of is just not realistic. Now, am I just looking for natural order? Rurikthar quickly. This matchup is just so bad without Collector Oof as a freebie. I will mull to 4. Alright. Get rid of ETB tapped land. Get rid of Glimpse. Get rid of Glimpse. Matchup is so bad for me. Underground Sea comes down. LED. Double LED. Oh, this turn is scary. Rainstorm. Alright. There could be some crimes here. There are no crimes here. Unfortunately, my hand is rather bad. I think I am playing the Scoos that I just got. 18, get Bayou. Then next turn, I can attempt a draw 2 and maybe try to buy my way out of this. I just feel like I should die, though. Like, I just fully believe that I should be dead this turn on average. There is Burning Wish for black mana, or more black mana, and it is Pier. So, Bryant now gets half of his library, and that should kill me. I will go ahead and F6 here. I think he is going to silence anyway immediately, and life's bad. Elf pro tip, do not get paired against Storm. This does not feel good, at least not with this configuration. I remember doing some testing for some SCG Opens with my friend Carrie, who usually played Elves, and he did a ton of testing, trying various like combinations of sideboard things to try to have a fighting chance against those matchups. And you can make it better, but and let's go over here. With only the 2 Thoughtseizes and no Collector Oof, this is not really what we need. If we get to Rurikthar, Rurikthar is amazing, but I don't know that we have the bridge that we need for combo decks. GG. Okay. Opening hand has a natural order. I don't quite have enough mana to get to it. I have a decent number of bodies, and hopefully that is fine. I'm going to go basic here so I don't get wastelanded. It's a little weird because Dryad Arbor is very good with double Quarian Ranger. I just don't know that I want to set myself up to eat a Stone Rain if my opponent has Lightning Bolt. And, like, given that they are a cantrip-heavy red deck, I think that is pretty likely. Maybe not immediately, but like by turn 3, I would expect them to probably see a removal spell of some kind. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to just seek to get to 4 mana to natural order, and if we can make it, 5 mana to play around a daze, that would be swell. Slow game? I think I am okay with slow game and just surveilling here. Damn, that's awkward. I certainly don't want to draw that. I also don't want that in my graveyard, because I really wanted the natural order for that card. This is the natural order life. If you haven't experienced this before, the like draw step where you're like, okay, 37 of my draws are safe here, and one of my draws is disastrous and game losing. It's great. Onder. I haven't played a lot of Rurik Thar in the post-Murktide Regent tempo world. It used to be that this was, pretty safe to drop into play versus a tempo deck, and it would just effectively burn your opponent out. I don't really know if that's true anymore. Okay, well, either one of these is wastelandable. I think I'm just getting bodies into play in case I draw Gaia's Cradle. I think it's not the end of the world if this gets dazed. This is a very fast clock. It's a 2-turn clock if my opponent has a lightning bolt. I would like them to not have a lightning bolt. That is a green sun. All right, thinking time. I have how much mana? I have 3 mana, so I can green sun for X equals 2 and get Frenzied Baloth and attempt to make natural order for Hoof uncounterable. Or I can do the same thing with Allosaurus Shepherd, which lets me play around days. All right. Is there a Heritage Druid line? Green Sun for Heritage Druid, 1, 2, 3 mana, natural order, go. That is much worse off versus counter spells, but might be the correct line so that I don't need to luck into something next turn. That is mana for next turn. So tap 1, 2, and 3, 4. Return a forest, untap a creature. Am I sacking the Heritage Druid? Return a forest. Maybe I am sacking the Heritage Druid here. So untap this. Natural order. It is unfortunately Force of Will. And my opponent tops their card. Hate that. Get in there. Opponent to 15. Am I dead to bolt immediately, or do I get another turn where my opponent has like Force of Will in hand? Grist. Alright. Untap Nettle Sentinel. Bounce Forest. Land drop. Natural order. Sacrificing a creature. My opponent topped their card. Surely this is Force of Will if it wasn't Lightning Bolt. And we will be dead to a pair of DRCs. GG. So, this now becomes how much do I want to interact with my opponent? I think I grind out the long games with like Visionary, Wirewood, Large Fiend Artisans, Grist. I think I'm willing to settle in for longer games. I used to often board out natural orders in these matchups, but now that we have Allosaurus Shepherd and Frenzy Baloth, I don't know if I need to do that. I think I'm gonna do some amount of this stuff. How do we feel about the squad? Seems bad versus days. It's not getting me out of range of Bowmasters. I think I'm gonna turn squads into endurances. Start with 1 Abrupt Decay, and then decide how much removal to play. Can trim some 1-drop for another decay for sure. Do I need Veil with Allosaurus Shepherd, Frenzied Baloth, and a handful of tutors? Maybe not. Do I want Rurik Thar? Unsure. Is this card better than Glimpse here? Maybe not. I think there's a lot of ways to board here. Alright. I have 2 lands, a Glimpse, an Abrupt Decay I can't cast, a Natural Order, and is very mid. I don't know that it's a mulligan or anything, because there's so many draws that just like very easily make it better, but it's not overly exciting. Bulk comes down, DRC comes down. I can probably attack into that safely on the first turn. Would not mind hitting Bayou to just Abrupt Decay immediately. And, like, save a 1-drop for a little bit later. Heritage Druid is cool. I'll go ahead and attack for my 2. Opponent to 18. I might just cycle Glimpse. That's not, like, super exciting or anything, but it may just be that I am trying to hit land drops to cast Decay and Natural Order. I will just play a Wirewood here. Cradle is great. Alright, fantastic. It's not green mana, but it's mana towards Natural Order. I can maybe wait a little while and see if I find one of my green creatures that makes things uncounterable, or at least jam some other things that maybe my opponent would counter before I just attempt Natural Order. This is a spot where, like, Veil of Summer is pretty good. Fetch to clear. 3 card types in graveyard. Rip Wirewood. Hot damn, it's only a 1/1 after all of that. That is lucky. So I will go ahead and attack in for 2. Keep my aggression up. Then play a Heritage Druid. And we'll hold Gaia's Cradle until I want to deploy it. I don't want to not use that mana and have that land get wastelanded. Exhibit A, the wasteland that I just played around. Second DRC. We may end up in a similar position to last game. Yikes. Where my opponent just clocks us out before I get anything rolling. Magically, still 1/1s. Heritage Druid can come back. Beats by Nettle Sentinel. Opponent to 13. Untap Nettle Sentinel. So this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. If I draw another land next turn, I can Natural Order around Daze if I play Cradle out. So I think this is risk the Cradle to wasteland number 3. 2 of those are gone already. I feel comfortable in making that decision. Rip. This is a great tempo hand for my opponent, assuming that these stubborn DRCs actually turn into 3/3s. Oh shit, wasteland number 3. My opponent said no to it. Alright, there's Brainstorm. Did my opponent make a land drop yet? Because if they didn't, they had the opportunity to Brainstorm into that wasteland and take me off of Cradle. My god, they are still 1/1s. Okay. Nettle Sentinel with the steel chair! Opponent to 11. I'm winning the race. Alright. 1 and 2. We'll play around Daze here. Untap my friend. I think this is Allosaurus Shepherd to make Natural Order uncounterable next turn. There is a temptation to get Birchlore Rangers to junk a DRC and buy time. I think I'm into the uncounterable thing, but I think Birchlore to Abrupt Decay immediately is a valid approach to this game as well. In terms of reading what is in my opponent's hand, there could be some slower things there, like Murktide Regent, like Corey's Steel Cutter. Alright, there is a Corey Steel Cutter, but that is from the Surveil. Is yet another Lightning Bolt. The Allosaurus Shepherd line does not pay off. DRCs, forever 1/1s. I can't talk about my luck ever again. It is turn 5. My opponent has like half of their library in their graveyard, and those were not 3/3s until this spell just now, which is crazy fortunate for me. I will take 6. 14. Alright. Combat. In for 2. Opponent to 8. What a savage endurance this would be. Unfortunately, I do not have it. My opponent now, like, very, very quickly catching up. Now does this need to be Birchlore? Do I just need to kill one of these? Or do I want to do the same thing where I set up for Atraxa the following turn? I guess I don't need to think too hard about it. I can just see if this spell resolves. Alright, it does. Dead to Brazen Borrower, just cast attack as well. Maybe it's Birchlore, and I'm sad about it. No attack. Need this for the black mana. Red instant? A Braid. Opponent tops that card. Hate that. Let's go black mana and this. I will Abrupt Decay one of these. Untaps my creature. I will lose the Nettle Sentinel here, which means that I have 3 of 4 mana towards Natural Order next turn, which is not great. Like pre-combat Murktide Regent? What if as a treat to me, opponent made DRC a 1/1? No? Alright, fair. Alright, untapped land and opponent doesn't have a counterspell. Shit. Alright. Visionary. Redraw. Okay. 2 mana. Visionary. Redraw. 1 mana, 2 mana. Dead. We were never able to quite get to that natural order mana. I think, despite the fact that I lost there, I think we did get very, very lucky to not get beaten to death by the Dragon's Rage channelers much, much earlier in that game. I don't think I get to complain at all in that one. It did not quite pan out. It's possible, again, that I could have approached this differently and, like, boarded in a way where I am not trying to resolve that natural order at all. And, like, I go up on more spells that look like these. I had a ton of other things I could have done there. GG. So let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Overall thoughts on the deck list. I'm glad I played this. This was a fun way to spend a couple hours in the afternoon. But man, I do not want to play against combo while playing this deck. It feels like the deck has made some concessions to Orcish Bowmasters, which is a very, very reasonable thing to do. I was not embarrassed playing this deck. I feel comfortable saying that. I feel confident that I want 4 Thoughtseize in the 75. I feel confident that I want Collector Oof in the 75. I'm not sure how I feel about this card without playing it more. I legitimately can't tell whether this is like a fun of thing that this person was testing or whether this was something they thought was good. It felt a little slow to like go towards despair in the combo matchup, and maybe the deck doesn't want more things that say draw a card on it in the Bowmaster world that we live in. So if I played this again, I think I'd turn Rex Sage into Collector Oof, give you the snowball's chance in hell at winning some game 1 versus artifact-based combo decks. I think I would turn these into 2 more Thoughtseizes. I wouldn't hate having access to more Endurance. It's a little awkward. Going up on Endurance would make that last round much easier, where we just play a pile of these and we become less concerned with some of this other top-end nonsense. But Endurance isn't good versus Oops All spells, which is also everywhere. And like not playing Leyline of the Void is rough. I could also see dropping Surgical or Endurance as well. There's obviously really cool lines that exist where you're playing against Show and Tell, you Thoughtseize them, you surgically extract the Show and Tells, and their life is now miserable. That is a thing that can happen, but that often doesn't line up. I don't know how I feel about Veil of Summer when we already have tutorable access to things that look like these. That is a slot that maybe could be getting percentage points elsewhere. Elves has a very, very small percentage in the metagame, like probably not even enough to register on something like MTG Goldfish. You know, you're probably at that like 0.01% of the format or something like that. But if you're not concerned with winning every round, and you're okay with some very, very lopsided matchup spreads, you could be doing worse than this deck. All right, with that, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. Great weekend? Yeah, this is releasing on a Friday. Have a great weekend, folks. See ya!